Hello, how are you doing today? Today we are in second part of suffering because of ignorance. Yes, suffering. You suffer and suffer. To an extent, some die because of ignorance. We found that ignorance is lack of knowledge, especially now we have all the gadgets to get knowledge. Before we were born, the other generation that is around 60 to 70, that generation, they didn't have a lot of information we have today. And the danger of this information is that the more we get good information, there is also disadvantage that there is also bad information everywhere. When you come here to comment, some will come to frustrate. There are those who hate progress. So it's not every comment we are supposed to answer. It's not every dog that bark that you should learn or you should turn back, because some doesn't need an answer. You don't need to explain yourself to so many, and that's what is happening to people. So many people are suffering under ulcers. So many people are trying to change who they are to just fit in the world that is full of confusion. Yes, the world itself is full of confusion. People who are not satisfied with what they have. Every day companies are coming up with new things. And you're here, you want to please that world. If today you buy a new car, that tomorrow will not be a new car, because the company is coming up with a new car, new design. People are coming up with a new design. So if you want to be happy, live your life. Accept who you are. Trust anybody who come in your life. Some of your friends, so many people have died prematurely because of one friend. A friend who was jealousy. He pretended to be a friend. He poisoned you. Some are in hospital, some are in prison because of the things they didn't do. Because somebody they trusted out of ignorance, without checking the background of that person, nor knowing that person better. Then you end up, your life is in danger. I told you about Uriah. Uriah trusted the king. You can't imagine a king calling somebody from the ground to stop a soldier, to stop fighting, to come just because he has committed adultery with his own wife. How many bosses do we trust today? Those bosses, they are not our boss. They have an intention. David had an intention. He didn't want to kill David. He didn't want to kill Uriah himself. But he will send Uriah to go and die. It's not only Uriah that died, but the curses that God spoke through David. David was told by God, even after he repented, and he told God. David was born. His father wanted to sleep with a maid, and the maid went and told the mother. So there is the agreement where the maid had planned with the father of David to meet. So the woman went. So only the mother of David and the maid knew what they had planned. They did. So the father didn't know. He thought he was sleeping with the maid, but it was his own wife. So when David was born, the father didn't know how on earth David was born. So the father rejected David so much. And David had lived a life of regret. You see, the brothers were soldiers, but David was a shepherd boy. The father didn't care. He didn't love David at all. Died, God was very angry with David, and he wanted to punish all the Israelites. And then he was told to choose 3 things that were supposed to happen to all people, because when this was a king chosen by God, an innocent person has died. He knew what he did, so he prayed to God. He repented according to Psalms 51. You can go and see that he told God, even my own mother committed adultery, because even himself he didn't know how he was born. Only the mother and the maid knew. So he repented, but God told David, I will not remove the consequence of what you did. And the consequence was, David saw his own son sleeping with his own wife. Absalom raped his own son. His daughter was raped. There was immorality in his own house. His son fought against him. You know, there's so many things that happened in David's house that he didn't had control of out of that ignorance, because David was led by lust. You know, lust. This woman, he know very well this woman is married, but lust. He lusted to sleep with somebody else's wife, and that was what is happening today. You are a woman, out of adultery. Men are committing adultery without looking the consequences of the sin. A lady, a small girl, want to sleep with married men. A boss want to sleep you because he in the favor of job. The woman want to sleep with young men. All this confusion, my dear. There is that's why the world is hit with a lot of sicknesses we never heard of before. People are dying prematurely because the anger of God, even though He is merciful, He's slow to anger, but also he allows some pain. Here didn't died prematurely, but God revenged for him. But he's dead. You know, there are some people who died innocently, and today God is revenging for them. But the fact is, they are still dead. What if Uriah wanted, you know, that discernment? Why is the king calling me? This is the first time. Instead of drinking the alcohol with the king, he was supposed to be very, very sharp and ask, how on earth, among all the soldiers, the king has favored me? That could save him. When Uriah was told to go and sleep at his house, he could go home and sleep. He was drunkard, but the king had planned with the wife to rape Uriah. So even your own wife can trap you. Even your own wife, don't be ignored because you have a wife or a husband. Women are killing their own husband, and men are killing their own wife. Even the children are killing their own parent. We are in a very dangerous world of ignorance. People are suffering. You make this one decision. You go and drink this one alcohol with this lady you don't know. You don't even care to know about her. And then she put some lies in your alcohol, and then you end up drunkard. You don't know it's drug. Then you lose everything. This one friend introduce you to something. This one job, because you want quick money. This quick money come with quick whatever is. Not everything that glitter is gold. You want money quickly without. You want to wake up in the morning, you have everything. My dear, you have to work for your own sweat. This world is under the curse. God cast a man, and He told them, you will eat the sweat, your own sweat. We have to sweat to eat. Although Jesus came to take away those curses, but Jesus didn't say that we won't stop working. In fact, Jesus was working as a carpenter. You have just met a man with money. You don't want to know the background of this man. You end up, because he has money, you think he is a god. And let me tell you, me, I don't like him. It's not bad for a spouse to have money, nor a lady to have money. But you should know, money answered everything, but money is not everything. This money will not take to sleep with you or have children. It's you who will have children. It's not money who will raise those children. It is you and that man with a discipline. And you need to sit down and agree. You need to sign to know the kind of man you are. I don't love men for what they have. I love a man for who he is. If you want me to love you because of you have your car, you can go with your own car. Because it's good to have prosperity. It's good to prosper. It's good to live a good life in this earth. But it's also good to know that if you want to leave a legacy in this world, we need knowledge is power. Information is power. Yes. Know people you live with, and get a lot of information. Not everything is a joke. Don't live a life of ignorance that you think like now people are posting photo on Instagram. You think that's the life. This is an eye. A phone is an eye. A camera is an eye. And if a camera is an eye, it shows what people want to see. When I was in photography class, I was taught a photo is one way of communication. It includes forward, background, and then the main object. So before you see the photo itself, you should see for foreground and background, the information about the information about that photo, not anything with suffering of ignorance. Me, I want to share my story. 15 years ago, yes, 15 years ago, 15 years of struggle, 15 years of shame, 15 years of lack, 15 years of rejection, 15 years I have slept out, 15 years I have met with people who has miserably mess up with me, 15 years that I have only learned to forgive, for the sake of my own heart, 15 years. And before those 15 years, I used to work in a certain office. I was, that office was not as big, it was not big, but the information and the people I used to deal with, they were big. I used to deal with people all over the world. Everybody, God could bring people all over the world, from America, Europe, Australia, Germany, all the place. I used to go to every day. I used to have my own house. I used to live a life of an employed person. You work, you give the service, you are satisfied. That place, it had everything. It had everything. It had, if it is the church, if it is, everything was there. Everything. And the same place, I met one important person who helped me to release 2 albums. I'm a singer. And it was big, it was big. And being a secretary, there was also a cyber around, so there was some information. My computer was the main server. It used to serve the cyber as well as serve my computer wasn't, but I used to be in cyber and in the office. Then one day I went to the record disk, hardware record disk, and I opened the record disk. I saw some of the photos, and then I touched one photo, and then immediately I touched that photo, somebody called me, very close person, and then he said, where are you nowadays? I told her I work in a certain place, in that place. Okay, she said, I was just checking on you. I was just checking on you. A very close person. And then I don't know what happened after that, because I left the office and I went out and sit down. I cried so bitterly. I didn't know why I was crying. I just cried. I cried. I didn't know why I was crying. So she left, and then after 1 to 2 weeks, another close person came, and she said, I was told by a certain this person, sort of man of God, let's say so, to come and greet you. I don't know this man. I have never. And then after like another 1 month, I used to close the office like during the day and go and volunteer in other places where I'm not busy. So I went to help, only to come back in the office and saw 15 missed calls. I didn't know why this missed call. So I reached the first one, which was the closest person to me, and asked her, why are you calling? And she told me, no, there is this lady. She came, she wanted you to help. I went, and then I tried to call, 15 missed call, but they were from different people. So I called her, and she said, no, this lady is of our church. She wanted to come, and you help her to sleep. I wondered, this church. And then I called that person. She said, no, don't worry, somebody else has helped me. After I called her, the so-called pastor of her called her back and said, you have finished the mission. I'm coming for you tomorrow. And then I didn't know what is divine connection. The way there is demonic divine connection, there is godly divine connection. Sometimes when the devil wants to destroy your life and to mess up with you, he will remove you from the right place and send you. So I told she called me back. She told me, you know what, you are blessed, because after I called you, this so-called we have been angry. He said, my mission is finished. I'm now, he will come for me tomorrow. He left. And then I don't know what came in me. After that lady called me, I start losing the to love what I do. You know, that passion. And I was still thinking of relocating. Imagine the girl arrived in that another town. I was behind her. I left my house that had everything. I left my job. I followed the lady. I don't know how it was. I followed her. I went, and imagine I left my job to go and struggle. And tonight I started having this strange dream. I started feeling the spirit of confusion. And then after 1 week, they called me. They lied to me that God has said, you know, me, let me tell you, I fear God. I fear God so much. Since childhood, God has raised me. And God has used men, truly men of his own priest and prophet to raise me in a godly way. Some could pray for me. Some could speak things of God that were true. Some could reveal to me the secret of the kingdom of darkness, what the devil is planning against me. Some could pray for me when I'm sick and he could heal me. But now this is strange. It's like cult. It's like something that is another forces. It's like something I've never experienced. You don't have peace anymore. And then you dream with things at night, and then when you wake up in those dreams, you are frightened. It's like somebody's tamping up with my soul. Not now my spirit, is my soul. And then he stayed, I don't know, preaching. And then today I could preach. The same person who could come and call me names on pulpit, he could say anything. And then he led my life into confusion. I lost focus of life. I didn't understand who I am. It was struggle after struggle. It's like today he called me, tomorrow go away. It's like he wanted to control me. I didn't understand until now. I'm telling you, I have remembered that call. I had taken my passport. I wanted to go to America to study. I had already booked this university, Bible theology. They called me. I can show you the letter. I was in the process. I was in the process of going. The university was paying everything. Imagine after that one call, I lost focus. I lost my friend who used to write for me. I could stay. I am no longer online. It's like I have become somebody I'm not understanding. And it's a call of ignorance, because I have really, really suffered. The fact that I left my house, I went to sleep in people's house, I left my job. I have never got a stable job until today. It's from one struggle to another. This is the person, they send you fear. You say, you know, when you realize you are in the wrong. Now I'm realizing, where am I going? Before I start, I want to be delivered. He will send you this attack. You start bleeding non-stop. I could bleed for 2 months, 4 months, non-stop. You bleed, not normal monthly period, bleeding to an extent until he say stop. That's when it will stop. It was drama after drama after drama. I cried. I didn't understand where I was and who I am anymore. And another day I remembered, before this topic came, a call of ignorance. Because The same lady whom I followed is the same lady that was made me go through hell. Another forces. It's like something I've never experienced. You don't have peace anymore. And then you dream with things at night, and then when you wake up in those dreams, you are frightened. It's like somebody's tamping up with my soul. Not now my spirit, it's my soul. And then he stayed, I don't know, preaching. And then today I could preach. The same person who could come and call me names on pulpit, he could say anything. And then he read my life into confusion. I lost focus of life. I didn't understand who I am. It was struggle after struggle. It's like today he called me, tomorrow go away. It's like he wanted to control me. I didn't understand until now. I'm telling you, I have remembered that call. I had taken my passport. I wanted to go to America to study. I had already booked this university, Bible theology. They called me. I can show you the letter. I was in the process. I was in the process of going. The university was paying everything. Imagine after that one call, I lost focus. I lost my friend who used to write for me. I could stay. I am no longer online. It's like I have become somebody I'm not understanding. And it's a call of ignorance because I have really, really suffered. The fact that I left my house, I went to sleep in people's house, I left my job. I have never got a stable job until today. It's from one struggle to another. From one, this is the person, they send you fear. You say, you know, when you realize you are in the wrong. Now I'm realizing, where am I going? Before I start, I want to be delivered. He will send you this attack. You start bleeding non-stop. I could bleed for 2 months, 4 months, non-stop. You bleed, not normal monthly period, bleeding to an extent until he say stop. That's when it will stop. It was drama after drama after drama. I cried. I didn't understand where I was and who I am anymore. And another day I remembered, before this topic came, a call of ignorance. Because the same lady whom I followed is the same lady that was made me go through hell. Thank God that I have recovered. I thank God I have acknowledged I missed. I left the ordained place that God had ordained for me. In fact, God used to bring all type of people all over the world. My salary was paid well, though sometimes it used to be closed. It could arrive late because I was paid from far. But I used to live a better life. I used to pray. I used to seek God. But imagine, after all the things I went through, I've reached to a point I lack passion. I could pray, but not passionately as I used to pray. But yesterday I was asking, if I ask God, if I prayed, because there is that day I cried so much, I cried bitterly. I didn't know. I could ask God, why am I crying? Perhaps God was speaking to me and telling me about the 15. Now I am regretting. I have seen my 15 years of delay, stagnation, rejection, pain, shame, discrimination, suffering under the power of men. You know, when you are going in the wrong direction, you can cause accident. People have humiliated me. I have been beaten. I have gone through a lot for 15 years because of one core of ignorance. And I thank God I'm alive, because I know there is God of restoration. He will restore those time and season. I know if it is the way I will still fly, I will go to America and study. I am not too late. And then just want to thank God. And I'm praying for you. There might be, you have faced this call of ignorance. You'll have one person who destroy you. You trusted this one man who you heard his word, you followed his word. Today I will ask God to deliver us. Okay, and then God to help us, to give us wisdom, not to welcome any person that come on our life. We should be very careful. We don't care, even if it is our boss, we respect them, but don't let them decide for you, for your future, because they can go and God can bring other good bosses. Don't follow this big sound. The devil know how to control the mind. There is the instinct, there is the Spirit of God, the sound that comes from our heart. That's the voice of God. And I thank God because it didn't kill me, it made me strong. It made a character. Through perseverance I've seen God, and endurance I've known that there is a faithful Father. Every time people throw me to go and die, and I call upon Him. So I pray that God may deliver us from any ignorance or any life planned by the demons of struggle. Perhaps all this perhaps he had sworn he will fight me and put me down, or whatever the enemy will plan, it will not work. And I pray today that God may expose every hidden agenda and every secret of darkness. Also, God forgive us from our own ignorance and the consequences of our ignorance, and deliver us from the grave and the power of the death, both spiritual, mentally, financially, and physically. Because I tell you, immediately I find this person, is like my mind was taken captive, and then he started feeding my mind with confusion. I know the devil is the angel of light. People who come to our life, they pretend they are helping us, but I tell you, they have a demonic agenda. I pray that God may deliver us from every letter we are carrying, that we want to kill, to die, like that Uriah was carrying. There are people who in the spiritual realm, they write things, because let me tell you, Paul says, the real life we see in the physical, it is first manufactured in the spiritual realm. They are rulers, principalities, strongholds, powers of darkness, and they are the ones that determine who will go high and who will go low. That's why our battle is not carnal. We fight with those spirits. We don't fight with people. We fight with the evil spirit. And we pray that today may God, through the blood of His Son, may stop the accuser and the accusation. May deliver us from principalities, from strongholds, from rulers of this earth. And because Jesus Christ is the King of all kings and the Lord of all lords, and His blood is speaking better things, may that blood speak. May King Jesus come and defend us and fight for us.